It's only just beginning, and you thought it was already ending. Our supreme leader said, of course, the Russian supreme leader, who else? The Russian supreme leader said, it's an all-in game and Russia is at stake. And each of you thought they would fight for Russia. The pieces of Russia have long since been divided up. Each piece of our land, after all, it used to be 1/6 of the world's landmass. And every piece has its own owner. Yes, of course, an owner. But whether they're Jewish or not, friends, that's for you to figure out yourselves. That's a question that's hard to answer. Are they all Jews up there or not? That's what people say, yes. But maybe that's just what they say, so you'll grumble and sit quietly. We're Slavs and they're Jews up there. I don't think so. They're all different, really. You know, I've never seen two Jews who are the same. I mean, I can clearly see in my life that Jews are divided into some castes, not castes. Yes, they're completely different peoples. And all the Jews are considered Levites, the ones I was a little acquainted with in the United States in New York. But they're completely different. They don't think much of those Jews who live down in Israel. Are they above them? Well, of course they're above them. How could they possibly be on the same level? The money is different, and the level of intelligence is different too. And as for appearance, there's really no point in even talking about it. What kind of appearance they have. Their appearance is completely different over there. So, as for politics, friends, politics, take Venezuela, for example. We saw how Maduro was arrested, brought to the United States along with his wife and son. They were put in prison and are being accused of trafficking. Listen to how my fire crackles, of trafficking drugs. And what about us? Don't we have the same thing? Why isn't Putin being accused? Why isn't Valentina Matvienko being accused? Because there's no need to accuse them. Here, it's the law of the strong. Right now, the presidents who are presidents of third countries, let's put it that way, presidents of third countries. Venezuela is a third world country, meaning it's weak, shabby, dirty, unwashed. That's Venezuela. There's drugs, there's prostitution, there's everything you can imagine, right? That's Venezuela. Will Putin fight for it? No. First, they sent in troops. What kind? Russian. Yes, it's been about 20 years now that Russia's been in Venezuela. They're pumping oil, pumping it, because Russia has its own oil and there's oil here too, right? They have to somehow combine it all together. And under the label of Russian oil, Venezuelan oil and even Syrian oil could be sold. That's Venezuela. That's Syria. These are countries where the population is underdeveloped, where the people are primitive, and they're kept in that state. How do we know what kind of people live there? They tell us some kind of indigenous peoples. Yes, the indigenous peoples, they were wiped out long ago, destroyed. So who's left? Well, probably only mutants remain. Where was the island of Dr. Moreau located? In the countries of America, somewhere over there. Dr. Moreau is, let's say, like Dr. Mengele, right? He was a Nazi who worked for fascist Germany. But he didn't just suddenly become a Nazi. Well, actually, he was like that himself. And Germany drew him to their side. For what? For crossbreeding, for eugenics, for the genetics of crossbreeding. So who lives in Venezuela? We don't know. Maybe they flooded Venezuela with these very mutants. We don't know that either. What's going on in Africa? It's all the same thing. White people used to live there. Then black people appeared from somewhere. There's a tribe here, a tribe there. Some tribes were still being discovered in the 60s, in the 70s. New tribes in Africa. Beer drinkers, some cannibals. What more does a person need? Cannibalism is something they'll teach white people too now, and they'll get used to it very quickly. As soon as there's a food shortage somewhere, as soon as hard times come, and they're preparing for that now, you see it too, right? That's when cannibalism will start, widespread cannibalism. To start with, they'll send in real cannibals, people they'll bring in from somewhere, right? They could get them from Africa or from prisons. There are cannibals sitting in Russian prisons. They're never executed. They're kept for special occasions. The special services don't just get rid of such unique specimens. Just so you understand. But I don't know if everyone really understands, these concepts. Political and philosophical ones, they're always intertwined, politics and philosophy. So if you think that if you think you understand everything, I think some people do realize that in this world, only the law of the strong prevails. And if you're not strong, you can't win any elections, you won't get anywhere, unless you align yourself with someone strong. That is, unless you plop yourself down on their lap, offer up your rubber backside, and all the rest of it. Unless you sacrifice your own children. As usual, friends, this is also a very important point in the agreement with those rulers who sit at the top. You don't know many of them, and who's going to report to you about them? You know about Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth died. Her era is over. She died in 2014, not when it was officially announced. And what about all the ways they messed with your head? All this time, well, this is your life after all. It's your mind, your brain. And if they write this to you, well, fine, believe it. You can believe. You can believe in anything you want. You see, everyone has their own level of faith. Everyone has their own level of mental ability. So you can believe or not believe. By the way, now they're starting to let in provocative bloggers. Provocative bloggers are being let in to find out what's going on in your heads. These bloggers include both those with fascist leanings and outright Russian patriots. They're in different countries. They were specifically taken there. FSB projects. And some of them are just given a little money on the side. They're in other countries. And they make statements that they're allowed to make. Then these bloggers immediately change their opinions to the opposite. And who's going to say anything to him? He says what he's told. Yes, they're recommended to say it. Let's put it that way, not ordered, but recommended for money. Otherwise, who needs him, right? Otherwise, what's the point of him? They pay him, and he says whatever he's paid to say. There are a lot of bloggers like that. They get promoted, they're well known. That's the whole trick. And then these cowards come to my channel and say, well, over there. Yeah, you can't speak out, you can't do this, you can't comment. Yeah, and don't write anything, just leave the channel. Why stay on a channel you're afraid of? By the way, I'm always very careful with my political statements. Because for me, politics doesn't exist. There's a game being played with your life. There's a game for you and at your expense. And when Putin said that everything is just beginning, that Russia is at stake, he was talking about you. But you didn't get that either. You think, oh, our great country is at stake? Take a look at yourself. Are you a great person? No? No. That's exactly where you need to start. Always. With yourself. Not puffing out your chest and shouting about how great we are. Today is January 10th, 2026. Tanya Karatsuba Sitburhan,